Welcome back, Dogface Soldiers. You're listening to the 3rd Infantry Division Realism Gaming Podcast. I'm First Sergeant Brock, and today with me I have Sergeant McKenzie.
Good morning and afternoon, everyone. I'm Sergeant McKenzie, Public Affairs Office Non-Commissioned Officer in charge.
And Corporal Nicholas.
Morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Corporal Nicholas, Widowmaker Platoon Medic, and for this quarter, Soldier of the Quarter.
All right, gentlemen, let's get started. Now, first off, we're going to go over some big promotions and billet changes that have come up in the company, in the unit over the last quarter. Now, Alpha Company and 1st Platoon have been, growing substantially and have seen several leadership billet changes since last time. Now, first off, I want to call out our 3-Cab Executive Officer, Chief Diomedes. He's been promoted to Chief Warrant Officer 3, continuing his climb up the ladder on the way to Chief Warrant Officer 5. I know it's a long-term kind of career progress, differential and kind of progression for him as he takes on leadership. But hey, man, he's halfway there. So Chief, keep up the good work. Now, within 1st Platoon Widowmakers, we've also seen promotion of Platoon Sergeant First Class Winners to the platoon leader, and in that time, he's entered Officer Candidate School, becoming OCS. He's leading from the front as always, and in his place, Staff Sergeant Babel was immediately promoted from 4th Squad, squad leader to Widowmaker's Platoon Sergeant. In addition, Staff Sergeant Grigorov was promoted to 2nd Squad squad leader, and Sergeant Kovic was promoted to 4th Squad squad leader. Now, simultaneously, Staff Sergeant Marsh took on the squad lead billet for the newly formed 5th Squad Reapers. Now, 1st Squad has, obviously both capable leadership and overwhelming firepower with its expert and experienced soldiers from the top down, and the kind of weaponry, the kind of violence of action they can bring to the battlefield. Now, you may be asking yourself, since last quarter, 5th Squad Reapers. Well, the last time we were here, we were talking about the newly formed 5th Squad Wizards. Since then, they have moved on to 2nd Platoon Griffins. Now, we've reopened 2nd as a scout platoon, and 2nd Lieutenant Vandal is transferred down to platoon leader. He's been leading platoon in recon and other support missions the whole time, and really just seriously complementing the combat effectiveness and the firepower that we're able to present along with 1st Platoon Widowmakers. Now, Sergeant Duck, at the same time, he's taken his squad to 2nd Platoon, 2nd Squad. So really just seen a lot of great progression, like I said, growth, development, a lot of experienced leaders, and a lot of new soldiers who were very eager, very motivated to take in, what they can and develop themselves along with the unit. Now, I do want to throw in a brief 20th anniversary plug. As many of you may know, 3rd Infantry Division has recently celebrated its 20th anniversary on July 4th here, just a couple days ago. And we had a great ceremony. There were, a couple technical issues, as they're sometimes known to be with Arma 3. But, as we do, we work through them. We kept it moving, and, we didn't miss anybody. We didn't overlook anything. We continued with that celebration and the award ceremony, and then went on to a very substantial combat mission. So we'll have more on that coming up next quarter in our podcast, and we have several streams of the award ceremony and the combat mission party time that was recorded by Major and several others. We had a number of retired soldiers return for that mission, and it was a great time for just about everybody who attended. All right. Now, from here, we're going to go to news from prior quarter. So I'll hand it over to Sergeant McKenzie, and he's going to lead you through. all yours.
Thank you, First Sergeant. So, for the most part, last quarter, the third ID was grinding through Operation Crimson Sand. We've been fighting known ISIS elements, the HAD, otherwise known as the Haras al-Din al-Qaeda allies, civilian militia, and Iranian operatives. Soldiers have the soldiers have been fighting and winning just about every combat operation that they've had thrown at them. They have been very difficult odds, but the leadership is solid. The expertise is there, and expert soldiering has been what's been making the greatest difference within our conflict. Um, After effectively wiping ISIS forces from the known district that we were in, we are in a new Turkish island of Bozkata, located off the Mediterranean coast, home to an ISIS strike force that arrived from Syria. It is also home to a Turkish nationalist militia called the Sons of Kardu. Um, that's a little bit more in depth into what we're going to be seeing, especially now that we've been seeing a lot of the Iranians, kind of just creeping their heads out. With that, outside of the campaign, S3's Force Improvement Group, or FIG, has brought back Pathfinder School after an almost 5-year-long hiatus. There are currently 14 soldiers now who have earned the torch, and several longtime 3rd ID veterans around their infantry skill badges. They've gotten all that stuff kind of squared away now. A lot of us here at the 3rd ID now have that pride of wearing the French Fourragère or the French cord, as that's kind of that landmark 3rd skill class that you need in order to get your French Fourragère. And that's about it from news from the prior quarter, First Sergeant.
Outstanding. Yeah. I mean, it was a very busy time, kicking off the operation, Crimson Sand, that is. I mean, obviously, we had a lot of training events as well, Airborne School, Pathfinder there, of course. So people were busy. Like I said, we have a lot of motivated soldiers here. And I mean, they're not only, looking to really push themselves in our combat ops, but also to get themselves trained up as much as possible. And, I don't care how many thousands of hours you have in Arma. There's always something more you can learn in a training course, and it's not just the materials. I mean, some of the stuff is pretty predictable because it's taken from the Army, from their Army training publications, etc. But the things you learn alongside with your peers, your leaders, your men, if you're an NCO, it really can. Like I've said before a million times, really, it can really bring out the best in you and help bring out the best in everybody else in the unit. So definitely get trained up. I mean, we're busy as always. I'm going to have more on Force Improvement Group here in a moment. But yeah, I appreciate that. Definitely, we've got to work cut out for us in Turkey, but we're getting it done. So looking forward to seeing what else.
One thing I want to add to the Force Improvement Group of this past quarter is one of the things that led up to Pathfinder School was we've had one of our biggest. Now I'm no longer in the Force Improvement Group for a couple of reasons, but in my time there with the Force Improvement Group, we've had one of the largest sign-up classes to date, which was the Advanced Radio Communication course. I believe 26 students signed up. I believe we had somewhere around 25 or 24 who had actually graduated from that course, all in anticipation for Pathfinder School. It's a real landmark for the Force Improvement Group and for the 3rd ID to have a class with that high of an attendance rate.
Yeah, definitely. It was outstanding, very exceptional, and probably is a record here in the unit. And it really sets the stage for, there's, like you said, Pathfinder and the other courses down the road. So I'm looking forward to seeing these guys, get trained up as we move on through Operation Crimson Sand and, move on through the rest of the year. Now, like I mentioned, we got some news about staff shops and our DMOS availability. Now, things have changed. substantially over the past quarter. Like I've said, like most of you have probably seen, have heard, we've just exploded in growth. With the second platoon, additional squads, just grow through every element within the unit. Now, alongside of that has come a lot of new applications to the DMOs, like I mentioned. And some shops are getting filled up pretty quick. So, if you're thinking about this, if you're a PFC, a PV2, and you want to make specialist, if you're thinking about your long-term career development here in the unit, you need to take note and take the opportunities, when you come across them, because I mean, shoot, we've got so much going on here. I don't want to I want to make sure rather that we don't have anybody who gets left behind and misses an opportunity. Take it when they come, because definitely we need the help. Now, first off, recruiting and retention. RO, they're always requiring, they're always hiring recruiters. I mean, they do require them, I should say. So definitely look into that. If you are, an experienced recruiter in another unit, or another kind of format, then you may be able to bring your skills here to bringing on, expert soldiers here to our own unit now. Now, like Sergeant McKenzie said, force recruitment, we've been very busy, really grown quite a bit over the last quarter, and there are only a handful of slots open. Now, Staff Sergeant Babel has been promoted to NCOIC, so he's going to be overseeing hiring going forward, leading from the front, really doing great work, and motivating and keeping his men active. Now, I'll be, remaining in Force Improvement Group, as a administrative cadre, and we'll be doing what I can to take on my share of different courses. Now, beyond that, S2 Intelligence is in the process of screening several applicants to the First Platoon Readiness NCO. Now, this is, something that's really crucial particularly to our combat operations, because Zeusing makes the difference. The more that we have, the more S2 can present a, more realistic, and, for that matter, more exciting, more fun experience for everybody on the ground. And at the same time, making it realistic, like I said, and making it challenging in its own regard. Now, we'll have more on that going forward with those applicants. We have some good candidates, who have come forward. So I'm looking forward to testing them and seeing what they can do. Now, beyond that, I'm afraid BMO is pretty much full. There isn't a whole lot of room for movement within that shop, and not a whole lot of billets that aren't filled. So, I mean, stay tuned on that if you want to get on, just website maintenance, or mission development, things like that. They have various DMOSs and shops, or I guess subunits within the shop. So you're just got to wait and see what plays out. Now, I will say PIO is hiring journalists, and they will need a new NCOIC next quarter. I'll have Sergeant McKenzie here speak on that in a moment. But I want to say that if you have a knack for reporting, particularly for writing, by all means, take a look at that. What you need to do is go on the website, check out the DMOS applications forum. So you go to the forums, scroll down, look for DMOS applications, click on that, and from there you can send in an application to just about any of these shops that are hiring. So if you're ready for that next step in your career here in the unit, check that out, and get in touch with the people who are leading from the front here in these shops. Now, Sergeant McKenzie, I'll hand it over to you. Not only for that info on the NCOIC within S6, but also to take the next phase and lead us in the discussion on interesting Arma 3 news.
Yeah, for sure. So, with that being said about PAO, I myself am a current soldier in the U.S. military. I will be deploying by the end of quarter 3, start of quarter 4, and therefore I will be stepping down as the NCOIC of Public Affairs. It's been a great run, and I wish all the best to my team and to whoever is going to be there to take up the torch after me. With that being said, interesting related Arma 3 news is that Bohemia Interactive just recently published news about releasing an upcoming creator DLC known as Spearhead 1944. From what it looks like and from what we've already gathered, it's going to be a obvious World War II, specifically kind of catered towards like the Western Front kind of time frame. So hopefully we will have more details to discuss within quarter 3 to include a release date.
All right. I mean, I am pumped about that. I mean, World War II kind of operations have always been an interest of mine. I mean, games for that matter. But I mean, within Arma 3, we've had some options in terms of mods and just various, I guess, additions that we can put on to add to that kind of that element of historical realism. Now, obviously, having a creator DLC, I mean, that's a new story. Some have been, so-so, but for the most part, I think within Arma 3, most of them have been outstanding and really a step above the kind of historical, the mods that offer those historical elements. So, I mean, I can't wait to see what we got. That was just released, so it's not really second quarter news, but something that I hope we'll have more to report on come quarter 3. All right, Corporal Nicholas, do you have anything that you want to add as far as interesting mods, or I mean, I shouldn't say mods, but Arma 3 news?
Well, as you just mentioned, the upcoming creator DLC, Spearhead 1944, that's very interesting. I myself quite like World War II history and have, I would say, a decent amount of knowledge about it. One of my first full-on interactions with the unit here has actually been one of your fun-up campaigns about World War II First Sergeant, so that was my first full experience with playing with some people from 3rd Infantry Divisions. So for me, eventually seeing us also look at Spearhead 1944, it will be a bit of a full circle for me, saying, hey, I started here and we're still doing it again. That's quite amazing. And otherwise, in terms of some Arma-related news, a good friend of mine recently got mentioned by the Arma community because he was doing a event with people from different units, and he is still raising money, and he wants to raise money for further events, and he wants to make it bigger and better. And that was quite amazing to see that. I know just from my very early days in Arma, we eventually went our own ways in going in terms of units and such, but I'm still in contact with him in regards to Arma stuff. I'm still good friends with him, and now seeing him also like be one of the main owners and host of the events that was happening, that's quite amazing to see. And that also the people from Bohemia Interactive, when they make their post about what's interesting for the community and such, that they are picking it up. That's, in my opinion, quite a amazing thing to be part of, but also to see up here. I found that very, very amazing, and I was so happy for the guy. And I still am, because it's quite something to just say, hey, I want to run an event, but I want to have people from different units, and I want to have it as big as possible, and we're playing a game, we're having fun to raise to raise money for an event and a charity that I'm a big, proud supporter of. He got a decent amount of money. I don't remember the exact amount, but seeing that number, I was so happy and proud for him. So that's what I have in regards to Arma 3. That was interesting and related news.
It is, I mean, just a really unique and outstanding community. I mean, obviously we've got our really. I mean, maybe I'm a little bit biased here in my kind of opinions, but to each his own. But yeah, here in the third ID, I mean, we've got some great people. Looking at the retirees who came back, many of whom I served with or even under as my combat leaders in past operations and just past times within the unit. It just we've got a really just a group of people that I've never seen anything like in other units or other games for that matter. So really outstanding. Now, let me say, I'll give you an opportunity. Your friend here, what's his screen name? You can give a shout out to him.
Aaron Lieutenant Neo. It's quite amazing. I've been friends with him since I started my Arma days in start of 2020. I came across him. He's a fellow Dutch guy. Came across him, stayed in contact, and here we are 3 years later. He's making his own events and he's getting people for it.
Well, that's great. Well, like I said, it's just the Armorverse is a unique place, and I mean, we've got some really just people that are one in a million. So best of luck to him, and by all means, I hope we have more to report on next quarter. I mean, obviously, we'll be talking about the anniversary, like I said, but some also, or also, I should say, some further reports on what we've seen earlier this year. Now, from there, I'm going to move on, but at the same time, I'm going to be kind of turning about and getting right back to Corporal Nicholas here with our Soldier of the Quarter segment. As he said, as he introduced himself at the beginning of the podcast, he is our second quarter Soldier of the Quarter. So he was awarded this past ceremony here, July 2nd, won the Soldier's Medal, and of course, official recognition of his achievement, his outstanding performance within the unit in his time here. Now, what I'm going to do here, Corporal, is go through a series of questions here. Now, these are based on the questionnaire that was given to you by Major. I know that he gave you the questions and kind of interviewed you to an extent, and was able to get some answers. So we'll get a little bit further in that, and before I get started on that line, let me just offer you a chance once again to kind of introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about you. As the not only the Soldier of the Quarter, but as a person, as a a member of the unit, and a friend on the internet.
Yeah, thank you, First Sergeant. Again, my name is Corporal Nicholas. People also refer to me as Nick or Nicky. That's something that I have had the experience of being called in the past, so I have trained myself to respond to that. I'm, as mentioned as well in the questionnaire that I had to fill out, I am a Dutch citizen, quite happy. No big life concerns going on at the moment for me. Studying finance, finding a job soon to help pay for some things. I'm honestly quite a nice, relaxed guy. I don't like violence. I don't like hatred. I want peace, and I'll always try to go for that. But I'm also a big fan of jokes and humor and such, so it can be whatever. And I don't think I have mentioned in the questionnaire, but something like really about me is you come to me with music from this time of day, you might not get a good opinion or liking from me about it. I'm more like this 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, zeros, early 10s for music. And I even appreciate some classical music. That's something that I haven't mentioned, but that's more me.
All right. Now let me ask you, why did you join Third ID? And for that matter, what keeps you here?
So I used to be a Marine on the internet. I used to be die-hard Marine Corps, and when I started out in like an open community, and I got into a Star Sim. And from the Star Sim, I got a message from my old squad lead and my platoon sergeant saying, "Hey, we also have a Marine Corps unit. Would you like to join?" And that's where I got my first experience in being part of a Marine Corps unit. I eventually grew there and got up the chain of command, became platoon sergeant and a platoon leader. But at the same time, I was also like looking elsewhere, and I noticed, hey, we have PERSCOM. So what is PERSCOM? What can I learn from it? And that's also when I came across 3rd Infantry Division because of it. Like, hey, what's this? This looks interesting. This is a whole website. So I started looking like, hang on, what is this that I'm seeing? And I looked at Major like, he has a uniform? Why can't we have a uniform? And then I looked at someone else like, First also has a uniform? So for me, I was instantly starstruck by saying, oh my god, that's awesome. They have uniforms. I want that as well for the Marine Corps. So that's how I basically got into it. And I joined the Discord and I said, hey, I have some questions about the PERSCOM. Who do I go to? And that was my first interaction with Major. And I started looking eventually with, I believe it was at the time, Corporal Lewis at seeing if we could get something for the Marine Corps unit. Didn't happen. A long time later, I left the unit for own reasons. But I was still always interested in 3rd Infantry Division. I kept around and I kept talking. Eventually, I was at a point where, like, I've tried some other units, none of them, well, they lost my interest because they didn't appeal to me, or they were running at times that were way out of my time zone. And 3rd Infantry Division was within my time zone. Like, I talked about it, nobody could get me in. Now I have the time. Now I'm joining, and that's how I got in here. And it's also what's keeping me in here. It's making the uniforms. It's eventually a force improvement group. I became a range safety officer, and eventually I'm now a drill instructor, and being a platoon medic as well. I started with the medical route. I'm hoping to make the eventual expert field medical badge for FIG, along with assistance of you, First Sergeant, and input from others.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. I mean, it is interesting hearing your story here, your background, and the reasons why you're here. When you think about it, in your past unit anyway, you kind of worked your way up to platoon, and eventually left and joined us. But at the same time, you work your way back up to platoon. Yeah, it's a little bit different in this unit. Some different challenges, but well, you're here, so all I got to say is keep working. Keep pushing yourself. I mean, we're talking about Soldier of the Quarter here. I mean, we've got some great ones who have been a part of our unit, who we've been honored to have with us. And I just want to say, just keep bringing what you got, keep doing the best job that you can do, and inspiring others to do the same. That's what really what's really making us what we are. Well, I want to say it makes us excellent. Seriously. So by all means, keep pushing yourself and bringing out the excellence in others as well.
Will do, for sure.
That's right. Yeah. Don't disobey orders. So Soldiers of the Quarter don't do that. So, anyway, let me ask you any favorite, funny, memorable moment throughout your whole time in the unit. What really stands out in your mind?
What really stands out is you just have so many fun moments. No mission is the same. You always plan for whatever during the mission, and then always have some friendly banter happen along the way, or just you have something go wrong. And Arma is still a game, so we always have, at some point during a mission, Arma physics to blame, and depending on how and whenever you're looking, it's the most funniest thing. But what was really the most interesting one was during this campaign we had a moment where in our previous area in Securita, pardon my pronunciation for it, but in our previous AO that we were at, 3-Cap had a helicopter crash and it was one of the Blackhawks, and there were still some people with it. So Sergeant First Class Winters at the time, Sergeant McKenzie and myself, we all said, let's go back. Sergeant Frost is there on the ground to help things out, but let's see if we can get all personnel mounted up. So Sergeant First Class Winters goes into a striker, Sergeant McKenzie and myself go into second striker, and we're on our way. And we just hear over radio, guys, just turn around, no need. Then we're on our way back. Sergeant McKenzie and I start having some banter and having some fun. And then in the faint distance from behind, I hear Sergeant First Class Winters cashing up and saying, I have speed, mofos. I'll keep it polite. I have speed, mofos. And then the next thing we see is he's jumping beside us through the air, and all we then hear is Sergeant First Class Winters yelling, "Wee!" We died laughing, and we almost pissed our pants. It's things like that. You can never, ever predict that. And that's what makes this unit so amazing as well. You can have favorite moments all you want, funny, memorable moments, but you're creating them as well.
Well, of course, that's what just about what the time where I created the next sign up for the driver and operator course. So I figured that was the most effective way to take care of that problem. But anyway, no, I know what you mean though, because shit, I've got recordings on my on my YouTube channel. Just people just doing going a little bit a little too far and seeing what happens in Arma 3. It's a very delicate balance to maintain. Being the best, bringing out the excellence and staying on the map. Those are hard things to do at the same time. So, or they can be. But yeah, that's a good one. Shoot, platoon, winners, Babel, all the guys, the squad leads, you and Frost as FO. You guys get to see some of the best, get to see some of the most exciting moments here in the unit. And I think it's excellent, not only for you, but for everyone involved. All right, now let me change gears and ask something a little bit on a serious note. Do you have any advice you'd give to your fellow soldiers to help them in their careers here?
Be open about what you want to achieve. If you stay a closed book, you can. The only thing you can do is complain and whine that you're not getting what you want to go for, want to achieve. That won't help you. That won't help you grow up as a soldier. It won't help you grow up as a person as well. I've remained an open book, and there are positions I would like to achieve. Are they possible? I don't know, but at least I've checked from time to time as well when I wasn't sure if I could grow further than Squadmech. I reached out to I believe it was still at the time OCS Cooper, saying, hey, in 30-Cap, I know on our unit policy we have something for flight medics. Is that something possible? And some other billets as well. So I made sure to check around and I don't know if I can grow further in my current billet, and I didn't know I would eventually move up to become assistant platoon medic and now platoon medic. I always kept an open mind, I've got to be realistic as well. Keep an open mind, stay realistic, and just see where the journey brings you as well. I thought I was stuck as squad medic for a while, and now I'm 2 places up the chain from when I eventually started. So you never know. It's a journey, and just follow it as well.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. That's good advice, and I think just about anybody who wants to move up, whether you're taking a medical slot or anything else. Like I said, you're up in platoon HQ now, so that is not only a testament to your experience as a soldier, but also, that's part of the experience of of learning how to develop and grow and I guess rise as an expert, as a leader. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, you've got the right perspective, I think. So I wish you all the best, and we'll see what comes down the road in terms of the opportunities here in the unit. All right. Now, what Army value is the most important to you, and why?
So I'm gonna cheat and refer to what have written down for my questionnaire because I still stand by that. And it's a combination of the Army core values, but also things that I was taught when I was following WLC for the eventual corporal board and further. From the Army core values, it is integrity and personal courage. But from our leadership course, to eventually become a leader, is to be humble, to listen to subordinates and others, but also pass credit up and down the chain. You can say all you want, but integrity and personal courage is you can't remain yourself or you can't stand up for yourself because you say, hey, you're wrong about something. Let's have a look, or let's take on a discussion about this, see who is right or wrong. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. If I'm right, hey, maybe we can do something with it. But you also have to remain humble. When I was informed I was going to be soldier of the quarter, I didn't expect it. I eventually, because Major gave me a panic attack because he sent me a message on the website, and all I read was just Corporal, and I saw Major LaFlash as the center of the mission. Like, oh shit, what have I done? Am I in trouble, whatever? No, I got the message, hey, you're nominated, voted on, and selected as soldier of the quarter. So I went to him in DM saying, "Age permission to speak," and he said, "Just go for it." I'm like, you're an asshole. You gave me a heart attack. But I'm very humbled, and I still don't. To this day, I still don't get how I made soldier of the quarter. I have a feeling that there's others more worthy of this mention, of this, I would say, praise. I'm still humbled about it because I was apparently voted on, nominated for, and selected as. I still have no clue for what. But I accept that there were people who saw me fit for it, and I'm humble for it. So I guess I have to pass the credit up the chain to command staff, but also down the chain because I apparently made such an impact on others that it got noticed by command staff. So, and listening to subordinates and others, if I as a platoon medic can't listen to the people I'm training, then what am I doing in platoon? I need to listen to them so I can improve myself, but also improve them. And I need to listen to others because if they know, hey, you're lacking on something, bring it. If I'm lacking, I need to improve on it. So it's not just Army core values, it's a mixture for me. And that's why on that questionnaire question, I'm breaking protocol. I'm saying, hey, it's more than just Army core values.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, you got some great points there. I mean, really, talking about personal courage, it takes courage to be able to listen to people. I mean, really, it's a leader, at least theoretically, he or she could get up there and just talk the whole time, 100%. Not let anybody, stand up or offer any feedback. I have to wonder how long that would last before they were called out on it or worse. But you're right. You've yeah, you got to be humble enough to know that it's not all about you or that you're right all the time, and that takes some courage itself. So good feedback. I think there's some great points, and like I said, something that we can learn from here. Now, on that note, what motivates you what motivates you in the unit? Is there any one thing or any aspect here of the unit that really pushes you or gets you going to your peak?
it's the people, the spirit they give you. As everyone, especially Sergeant McKenzie, could say, and anyone else who is serving or has served or in the future will serve, it's camaraderie. It's the friendship you make. I'm able to push on in the unit and to remain motivated despite setbacks, despite pushbacks, whatever. If I'm having a rough day, I know that there's a couple of people I can reach out to, get rid of whatever is bothering me, and they will give me advice saying, hey, just get it all out there, spread the word to me on how shit your day was, on how shit something went, whatever. Get it out, but just keep in mind, tomorrow's a new day, and tomorrow you have to prove yourself again, and then you'll just carry on. And then, if you want to do something, here's my advice. Here's how you could pick this up. Go for it, because who knows? You might be the next platoon medic. You might be the next platoon sergeant, platoon commander. It's advice, just go for it. And if that's the target you want to have people motivate you for it.
Rocking them on, Corporal. All right. So let me ask: do you have any valuable lessons that you've learned? I mean, you've given a good bit about yourself, your history here in the unit, you know, your experiences. What stands out in terms of you know, the most valuable kind of you know, just learning that you've experienced here?
Setbacks, especially within combat imaging and design. I've had some setbacks, none that are always shown to the whole unit, but internally, I've had some setbacks and I've had some frustrations, and it happens. And I know that I can have ideas that might never ever reach the daylight. But is it a setback in the end? Maybe, but it's also a learning lesson. Something that happened earlier this year was we got mentioned, hey, we're opening a 5th squad, Wizards. And I asked Major when he informs about, is Wizards their cause, or is it just something to do as a filler? It was their cause. I'm like, it doesn't fit any of the other names that we have. It was their decision, like, sure. And then we had between 24 and 48 hours to make it and then to present it to them. And that was something that we didn't expect, at least I personally didn't expect. And eventually it came to the point where, hey, sit down with someone, and then you make a product, and then they are happy with it, and then later on you also hear like some small things like, it could have looked better, it could have looked different, like, sure. And it happens with other things as well. You make something, it gets changed, or like there's a last minute change that you can't work on, or you're not eventually informed of. It happens, it's a setback, but you learn something new. And that's what matters. The setbacks can be annoying, but if you're learning something new, is it a setback? It's a way forward, but on a sidestep.
Yeah, I think that's good. And I mean, you're right. You're saying don't quit. I mean, that's how you prevail, and certainly in this unit, just as much as anywhere else in life, in the military or the business world, or you know, other civilian life. So yeah, I mean, good stuff. You know, I want to thank you for your work. I mean, you might not know exactly where command staff was coming from with your you know your selection as a soldier of the quarter, but yeah, we went over shit. It's probably good. I mean, it was at least five, probably good six names. Soldiers who are just outstanding, doing great work in the unit. You know, for 90 days straight for the whole quarter, and your name rose to the top. And there was some discussion. You know, it wasn't. I won't say it was an easy process, but you know, just because we had so many good people in mind. But you know, when we all sat down together and started talking, you rose to the top. So you know, what can I say? You did really outstanding work, both in combat, in training, in your DMOS work. You were there with your presence, great attendance, just outstanding performance all in all, and that's what we're looking for here. So, I mean, you know, what can I say? You can only win Soldier of the Quarter once, so you don't have to worry about that again. But that being said, I want to sincerely thank you for your contribution to making this unit what it is. All right.
And I hope to continue on the same effort and same motivation, maybe to others who may become Soldier of the Quarter. Get them motivated and such. So,
We'll see what happens. We got some outstanding people, like I said, who were mentioned this time around. I'm hoping to be talking about them in another 3 months with command staff. All right. On that note, we are going to move on to our next segment here, which is Man Behind the Rank. So I'm going to hand this back over to Sergeant McKenzie.
All right, thank you for Sergeant. So we didn't introduce him at the beginning of the podcast. We're going to kind of leave him as a surprise, but this is Staff Sergeant Marsh. He is probably close to the last, if not maybe second or third to last NCO that we have within the 3rd ID, who has not been introduced in the Man Behind the Rank. So Staff Sergeant Marsh, if you want to quickly introduce yourself and also welcome.
Hello, I am Staff Sergeant Marsh. I am the squad leader for 5th Squad Reapers. I've been in 3rd ID now for pretty close to 3 years. Been a very, very long road so far getting to the position that I'm in, but if anything, I'm proof that persistence can get you a long way in this unit.
Hell yeah. Now, Staff Sergeant, I want to ask you, what would you say is your favorite aspect of the unit?
My favorite aspect would be the consistency. You can always rely on there always being something going on throughout the week that you can join in on, whether it be official or non-official. Like squad drills or the unit operation, those are guaranteed to happen every week, and it gives some kind of consistency that you don't see in a lot of other units or places.
Yeah, for sure. Now, to get a little bit more on the personal side with you, a couple of questions here. One being, what would you say would be your favorite food? Would you say you're more like a health nut or more like a grease junkie?
I'd say a little more of a grease junkie, because my favorite food is fried shrimp. Something about the sweet saltiness that fried shrimp gives you.
Right on, right on. Yeah, no, I'm a West Coast person, by heart East Coast raised, but I get you. Fried alligator, fried shrimp, anything. If you can fry it, you can eat it.
Oh yeah.
When's your birthday?
I was born February 3rd, the year 2000. I am a 2000 baby, but don't let that mistake you. I grew up with the same stuff that 90s kids grew up with.
Right on. I'm over here, 1997. I feel old. I can't imagine what it's like for our company first sergeant here, hearing that we have someone who was born at the start of the millennium.
Yeah, he's trainable. No doubt about that. So
I'll
all
just
good.
hide away and not say anything.
Yeah,
I'm
right?
staying here with Marsh.
Now, Staff Sergeant, do you have any pets? We know that you're active duty military. Does that give you time to or give you the ability to have pets?
So myself, I'm not able to have any pets where I live because I'm a single soldier. So I live in on-base housing where we can have pets. But back home, I have a dog right now. He's a golden doodle. His name is Georgie, and he is worth killing for. He is absolutely adorable.
Just the idea that you have a dog that the breed you can confidently say with your whole chest that he's a golden doodle. I mean, that's just world's best breed right there, and I just now heard about it.
They are the best breed in my opinion.
Right on. Obviously I've already kind of spoiled it, but what do you do for a living?
I am active duty Army. I currently serving in my first term of service. In my reenlistment window now, we'll see if I decide to stay in the active Army or move on and go do better, greater things for the country or personal life.
And for those who are wondering, me and Staff Sergeant Marsh and myself have a very hilarious little like Freaky Friday thing going on here. Staff Sergeant Marsh is a infantry squad leader in the 3rd Infantry Division, but is a combat medic in real life. I am an infantry soldier in real life, but a combat medic here in the 3rd ID. So it's the greatest Freaky Friday you can possibly find on the internet right now. What other hobbies do you have other than the obvious gaming?
Other hobbies would include reading. I love reading military science fiction books. My current favorite is Expeditionary Force, which I've been listening to the audiobooks for those ones because it's a dramatized audio recording. So it adds a lot more to the story. And they're just good books overall. I'm currently on book 14. If that says anything about how good that series is.
That says more about your consistency as well. Now, is there any advice that you would give to fellow soldiers or new Arma 3 players who are wanting to enlist here with us?
Should you choose to enlist with the 3rd ID, the biggest piece of advice that I can give is listen to your team leaders and your squad leaders. A lot of your team leaders have been in the unit for 4 to 6 months on average, and your squad leaders have been in the unit for typically over a year by the time they reach that point, and have gone through countless operations, countless drills. Most can help you with any technical issues that you have with Arma, with the game. You're having issues with your controls. Squad leaders definitely know how to resolve those issues. Not to mention your team leaders who are always going to be looking out for you.
Right on. Is there any kind of music in particular that you'd say you listen to?
The genre I listen to the most is going to be heavy metal, but I do listen to a wide variety of music genres. All the way from heavy metal to sea shanties, just however I'm feeling in the moment.
Well, we'll be sure to meet up and I'll take you on your first rave. That's gotta be a sight. Do you have any siblings?
I have 3 blood brothers and two stepbrothers.
Not talking about the obvious, but we won't talk about other parts of the family, as all of us here know. But we're just talking about siblings right now. Now, what would you say is your biggest pet peeve? Now, this can be real life or within the unit, or even both if you have one for each.
Oh, I definitely have one for each. My biggest pet peeve within the unit, more than anything, is when people enlist. They show up for 1 or 2 operations or 2 full weekends where we go through drills and an operation, and then without saying anything, whether it be personal related or just not having fun with the unit, they cut off communications with you, and then you're left trying to figure out what's going on. Is there anything that I can do?
Right.
Because it turns into a scavenger hunt of trying to figure out if this person is going to be retained or if we're going to have to separate them from the unit because we don't have them there.
Right. No, I understand that.
Yeah. Then in real life, I'd say my biggest pet peeve is just people not doing stuff they said they're going to do. It's really hard nowadays to trust people's word of mouth, but when somebody says they're going to do something, I trust them to do it, but if they don't do it, you lose that trust and it's really hard to get it back.
Oh yeah. That's those are definitely things that you can actually have hand in hand as well. Those are definitely things that, I mean, other than the fact that one is a video game, one is not, the concept of both are things that can be taken very much hand in hand.
Very much so.
Now, again, this can be real life or within the unit. Is there any like guilty pleasures you'd say you
Um, I am a nicotine addict. I've tried to kick the bucket a couple times with nicotine, but I just always seem to find myself back in full swing with it.
have? Coming this also coming from a nicotine addict. I don't know if how guilty that I would feel about that. I don't feel fairly guilty at all about my nicotine addiction.
I feel guilty towards myself because it's unfair to my body for me to poison it with nicotine.
I'm not the kind of body as a temple kind of person. I really if it can get me through the day, man.
Well, you said you tried to kick the bucket, though. I mean, that's pretty severe. So, I mean, nicotine will do that, but it takes a lifetime. So,
Oh yeah.
just saying.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I mean,
I know exactly what you meant.
Oh yeah, I've tried to kick chewing tobacco. I don't know, a handful of times, and if it gets me through the day and it gets me from not strangling one of my soldiers, then I guess it's here to stay.
Yeah, got to do what you got to do.
Now, Staff Sergeant, this might also again go hand in hand. What's something that you can't live without other than nicotine?
Other than nicotine, oh boy, I would probably say water.
fairly accurate, yeah.
But seriously, something that I can't live without. It's just having something I can't live without is respect or trust, because I always want to care about people, but some people don't want to be cared about. So it always runs into a real, can I do this? Can I not? I don't know. And it turns into anxiety because I want to take care and help people. But when they don't want that help, it starts to turn that into more of like an anxiety issue.
I've had that plenty of times too as an NCO in the Army, where you want to care, but also you have to do your job. It can go hand in hand, but if it gets to the point of where one's gonna get you in trouble or one's gonna get other people in trouble, like it's hard to pick one. I've had that way too many times in my nearly 9-year career now. I will say now everyone I can say pretty confidently, unless you've been living under a rock your whole life, that everyone has a bucket list. Is there something that is on your bucket list that you're trying to cross off?
It's gonna sound really cliche, but something that I really want to do is go skydiving. Because for most of my life as a child, I was scared of roller coasters for no reason other than it being something that throws you around. But after getting a little bit older and riding roller coasters, I discovered that I love roller coasters. They're fun. And I can only imagine how being a person who jumps out of a perfectly good aircraft at 15,000 feet and plummet towards the ground with only a parachute on your back, that sounds something that could be pretty fun, because you get all of that freedom in the air that you can just fly around for a few minutes before you have to pull that parachute.
Yeah, I'm an actual airborne soldier. I'm airborne qualified, and there's a huge difference between jumping out of a plane and the plane will automatically pull your chute versus you are falling towards the ground and it is up to you to pull that cord on your own. I've been skydiving, and honestly, compared to going to airborne school, airborne school feels a lot safer. The other down part about skydiving is that when it's your first time skydiving, you're kind of attached to another man, and it can get real awkward real quick.
Yeah, I think I've seen videos of that where they kind of wear you like a backpack.
It's almost like being strapped onto a baby Bjorn. Now, Sergeant Marsh, what would you say would be again going a little bit more into the personal side? What's your favorite movie? Why would you consider it your favorite movie?
So, terrible timing on this one, but my favorite movie since very, very young has been Titanic.
Uh-oh.
You can verify the authenticity of this with my mother, but I used to have Titanic on VHS. It was 2 VHS tapes, and the first VHS tape was part 1, which ended shortly after the Titanic struck the iceberg. Tape 2 was entirely of the ship sinking. I watched Titanic sink so many times that the VHS tape no longer works. And young me just loved watching that ship sink. I didn't care about the story, the love story, or any part of it. I was obsessed with watching the Titanic sink. And I think that's when my family started to think that I was a sociopath, because I didn't care about all those people dying in the movie. I was excited to watch that ship sink.
Well, we're definitely going to have to go ahead and send someone from the Army's CID and get in contact with the Marsh clan just to confirm everything's all on the up and up. Now, what would you say would be like an embarrassing story, or maybe like a funny moment or anything like that that's happened to you? Now, this again can be either real life or within the unit.
An embarrassing story from Third ID would probably be one time when an operation just absolutely was not going my way. I remember the convoy. We were driving, and somebody had called out on a radio that we're getting scattered sniper fire. And I just figured, hey, it's just scattered sniper fire. It's not accurate fire yet. They're just trying to figure out where or how to shoot at us. So me in the back of the Striker, a little PFC version of me in the unit, I decided to climb up into the air guard seat and take a look outside of the vehicle. The second I did that, I received a bullet to my dome, went down inside the vehicle. The squad was able to revive me. We got out because the Striker had hit an IED. Got out of the back of the Striker and immediately got shot in the head again by that same sniper. Got revived again. We made it about another 200, 300 meters further from our position before the sniper got me for a third time with a headshot. It was an awkward moment, definitely. There are a lot of embarrassing things that you could put in there, like building a bunker fortress using our trench system, or just the randomness that can happen with the Arma physics, with vehicles flying away.
Yeah, that sounds like you. Maybe there's something about that sniper story you're not telling us. I don't know if you put like a flaming bag on that sniper's doorstep or something like that. Now it's like out for vengeance. Like that was that sounded personal.
I feel like in a past life I may have insulted his mother.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And then lastly, what would you say would be your proudest achievement that you've undertaken and succeeded to this day?
Oh, proudest achievement? Sergeant McKenzie, you were present for it.
Wow.
During one of our operations with this deployment, actually, we didn't have enough seats on the Chinook, and the next flight was 15 minutes out. Myself, OCS Winters, and Sergeant McKenzie then decided to take a Ural truck, load up a squad's worth of infantry in it, sling load that truck, and then proceeded to fly it 4 miles to then strike drop it into an enemy compound and absolutely wipe the floor with all those enemies.
It was the closest thing that you can get to the U.S. Army's version of ODSTs.
I am still shocked to this day that worked.
The fact that it worked, there was no hesitation whatsoever. Just, hey, everyone, let's just go ahead and load up, and we are gonna go ahead and take this truck and fly it, not drive it, but fly it to the enemy.
Gotta say, sitting up in the front seat, it was a little scary at sometimes watching those mountains get close.
Oh no, I was in the back. I was in the back with the other sane people. Well, Staff Sergeant, I want to thank you for answering the questions. I want to welcome you again to the podcast, and thank you for being our man behind the rank.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to be here with you.
All right. First Sergeant.
All right, gentlemen. I appreciate it. Now, before we wrap up, let's talk about some interesting mods. Anything you've seen over the last quarter, or I mean, for that matter, going back throughout your Arma experience that you want to bring up. We'll definitely recommend these mods for other listeners to check out.
Yeah. So one thing that I've kind of brought up to the command staff, and it's something that's been in pretty a pretty decent review for, oh god, maybe it's been the better part of a month, maybe 2 months now, has been the cat medical system. The it's the advanced version of the ACE 3 medical system. Now it's still got the same properties as ACE 3 medical system. It's the same user interface and everything like that. Same wounds, same for the most part, same bandages, auto injectors, tourniquets, splints, all that kind of stuff. But it adds a little bit of extra stuff that comes from real life 68 whiskeys, EMTs, EMSs, and it adds all of that to the battlefield. You have different forms of AED, defibrillator shock paddles. There are King LTs, everything down to even a usable and interactable stretcher that you can load wounded patients on and actually carry them out. Now, there are pros and cons to this. One of the big things, like I said with the stretcher, for instance, let's go ahead and take it to ACE 3. You have two forms of transporting or of moving a casualty, by dragging them and by carrying them. Now, dragging, there's not much of a disadvantage other than the fact that you're really not going to be able to see behind you because you're dragging him, which means you're moving behind. Other than that, carrying someone takes anywhere between roughly 5 to 7 seconds. Now, that's 5 to 7 seconds of you possibly also getting hit by the same person who took out your casualty there. Not only that, but let's say that you do successfully get him on your back and you're moving, you have about I believe it's a 20 to 30% decrease in movement while having that casualty on your back. With the stretcher, for instance, while yes, it does take 2 people to move the stretcher, there is no reduction in speed. You can actually move at the regular combat jogging speed while carrying a casualty on a stretcher. That's a couple of things that the CAT medical system will provide. There are other things such as CBRN qualities as well, so chemical, nuclear, biological, and radiological properties, as well as there's surgical that's also involved in it. Now, surgical, if for instance this were to get implemented into the third ID, is something that was highly discussed that we would not be implementing for a while until we were to get our numbers up and get a BAS or a battalion aid station, because surgical is a very precise thing that is not recommended to do strictly on the battlefield. But First Sergeant, that is at least for me, one of the more important mods that we've been, or at least I've been looking at for this quarter.
Roger that. I mean, it's a lot to think about, a lot to take in. I mean, at least for somebody like me, who's not a 68 series, 68 whiskey, I should say. But we'll see what happens here, because it does add that extra depth, the realism, and I mean, we've got some really talented people here. I know they can handle it. It's just a matter of, I guess that bottom line, number of fun. Are we having fun together as a unit? As the majority, I guess you should say. So, yeah, we'll find that balance. But I'm excited to see what comes of it. We've already got started. From here, I think things will only get better. And if that's part of it, then by all means, I'm looking forward to seeing more. Now, anything else? Any other mods interesting mods that you want to discuss?
From me personally, as well as Cat Medical, because as Platoon Medic, I'm now involved in, and I've also started talking about it with friends. But for me, Acre, and especially Acre 2, has been an interesting mod. It's a different way to T4, wherein with T4 we just have a radio, or we have a radio backpack, and then we can just communicate with that, and it's very easy to set up. With Acre, I've come to learn, as I was always very much against it, it's going to be difficult, it's going to be annoying. It's apparently a piece of cake if you just know what to do. So the whole system is completely different. I at some point tried it out, and I had 3 radios on me in total, all in my uniform. Like, okay, if I want to still have my same stuff, what do I need to drop? What do I need to switch out? And I was still able to do my normal stuff. It adds a bit more immersion. It adds a bit more work to it. But other than that, I found Acre to be as easy to learn and to work with as T4. Acre adds a bit more immersion, I would say. It makes more realistic, like, oh, you don't just have a radio that you have strapped to your pocket. No, you have an actual radio in your uniform. You need to make sure that you have proper radio and whatever. I found that very much a nice learning curve.
Yeah, I can agree with that. The one big thing that I would say as a caveat to that is the Syncar's ASIP radio. There are, oh god, I believe the Army functions with 10 or 11 different models. Everything is as old as like the 1439 from like the late 80s all the way to like the newer
Moving. War Eagle 7, this is
702 Fox.
The gate shut up front.
Cyber be advised, 6 Vicks, SP, time now, moving to 4x5.
We always have
talks.
Civic 1.
Zulzalka.
Yeah, the gate's closed.
Once the first Vic usually hits it, it opens.
Length of travel from location to just setting it.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I think you're right about Acre. I've used it here in the unit. It was our standard comms mod for a while, better part of a year before we went back to T4. That was probably 2021, 22, probably 21. We were fooling around that. But I mean, yeah, it's got ups and downs. Definitely more realistic. And yeah, it's just a matter of thinking differently how you want to work with your kid and communicate in the field.
Got another fire north 355.
We'll say, I think the majority here.
We're heading towards it.
Big one.
Seem obvious.
Just bypass it.
Why he's sitting on me?
Anybody has even brought up Saber, let alone bringing it back as our mod. So, just saying, I think it's good. And, I'll say, 173rd Airborne, it's their mod.
I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay.
Their standard ops.
I see it, I know.
Their fun ops for Ranger School coming up in about a week.
That's protesters.
Strengths and weaknesses, I guess that's what
we got.
Oh
my gosh, that guy's trying to run.
My suggestion is the gun down.
Got a gun?
Shoot in the air.
Shoot it in the air.
I like it a lot. I'm content.
Shot in the air at Vic 3. I didn't shoot at tip of Vic.
Selling point.
Well, that's Vic 3 sure as heck ain't gonna shoot back as a toaster.
Radio.
Did you have a 240 on that? They could, if they want to.
Was it civilian? Yeah, it was a civilian.
First sergeant.
Yeah, they're very angry at us because we shot at their church, even though the Russian army literally.
I'm on board.
I think was it the Russians that shot it? The church before, I think.
Well, it's above my pay grade.
Just go straight.
Mine too.
It says,
It's like a diagonal 2 o'clock.
Redacted, Danger,
that's where you'll
redacted.
stop.
I was in Paris on leave when that all happened, so I don't know.
Alright, 30 seconds out to the breaking point.
I copy that.
Always cognizant
There's our BR1. We'll turn in Nessa.
You know, I say learn them all. Get good at everything.
Hard dismount, gents.
You're ready.
Hard dismount.
Thanks, boys. Thanks, boys.
I'm gonna shoot everyone.
I mean, I have to say, I don't really have anything else as far as mods go. You know,
ballsy for sure.
It was a good one last quarter that I mentioned, I think, or maybe this quarter before that, for that matter.
Alpha, go ahead and form up on me for the moment. I'll take the lead.
Yeah, I mean, pretty good run. You know, we'll see what happens next
Alpha
quarter.
on the back of me.
We'll gas deals or, you know, creator deals.
No, I'm on the right net now. Alpha, form up on me. Wedge, heavy, right.
And plus for, I guess, the last,
You can turn it off
last part, or, you know, the first part of the year here.
Oh, what the fuck? All right, gentlemen, we're gonna be.
That's all we got.
This in second off.
Good podcast. You know, we had some good guests. A lot of positive feedback. You know, very informative. I hope, you know, it's all entertaining as well. But until next time, which will be sometime in October, that's all we've got. So for that, this is First Sergeant Brock reporting out.